Merry Christmas to all my YouTube subscribers. We are going to do a Christmas movie tier list. We got a few dozen movies here. Not as many as I normally would, but going through several different lists of Christmas movies, I found that there's a lot that I haven't seen, and for me to opine on them in a video probably wouldn't be fair, even though to be fair, some of them I just don't look that interesting or anything. But a lot of these you'll know, a lot of them you'll love, some of them you'll even hate. But the ones here are, I think that a lot of us can agree, should be near the top of any Christmas list or at the bottom, depending on your point of view. But let me know what you think of the list down below, and let's get into the tier list. Of course, we have our categories: the best of all time, the holiday classics that are there, that are classics, but are just not quite to being the best of all time, then the not so great. These are ones, of course, that we all like, but we all think are flawed, or at least I think are flawed. And then the horrible, the ones that are just crap. And of course, we have ones that I never watched. Probably not that many in this category, to be honest, because like I said earlier, most of the movies here on this list I have seen, and a lot of them I have enjoyed thoroughly throughout my life. But let's get into it. Starting off with, of course, this one will go in the best of all time for sure. It's A Wonderful Life, a beautiful Christmas message, being with family, George wishing that he wasn't born, and telling Clarence, I want to live. It's such a great story, one of the best of all time. Finding with real villains and real Christmas cheer, a real true holiday Christmas spirit in George. It's just fantastic. Jimmy Stewart classic, one of the best movies ever made in my opinion. Yes, it is very long and not for everybody, but I urge you, if you have not seen It's a Wonderful Life, to check it out this year. You will not be for you will not think it twice. It is worth it, every single bit of it. A Christmas Carol. I'm not sure which one this actually is, so to be honest, I'm just gonna say it. Never watched. It doesn't look that familiar in terms of the logo and everything, but we'll stick it down there for now. Maybe if I can think about it a little bit more, maybe I'll move it up, but gotta be honest, you just can't say I've really watched it before. Home Alone, of course, right up here is one of the best of all time. Classic story, kid being left home alone, having to fight out the sticky bandits, Marv, Harry, of course, Macaulay Culkin really launched his star. This movie is fantastic, a little unbelievable, to be honest, with all the traps, all this kids fighting off with these two grown ass men, but it is still hilarious, and it really shows how some families are just terrible. I mean, the mother, although she feels bad in the end, it's just like, how do you forget your child? How do you forget your child? I mean, I know you asked your daughter to take a head count, but why don't you do a second head count to make sure all your children are there? It's just pretty unforgivable. And of course, it's a ludicrous premise, but we all enjoy it. It's fun, it's fantastic, and just one of those movies you have to watch every Christmas season for sure, because it's one that's truly unforgettable. Now, this is probably going to be a bit of a controversial pick. I've made a video about this before, and Elf is going to, I'll put it in the classics just for the sake of argument, because I know some people out there would probably think I'm wrong for thinking Elf is in how could Elf not be the greatest movie of all time? But it's not. It's really awkward. Every time I watch this movie, though I enjoy it at times, it is really awkward, and the whole sugar scene makes you want to vomit just putting everything together. I mean, of course he wasn't socialized, so that part is really awkward, but there's lots of good lines here and there, and to be honest, it's not the greatest Santa Claus we could have ever gotten. Ed Asner, not really the greatest human being in the world, and I don't know, it's a good movie overall, but nowhere near the best Christmas movie of all time. To be honest, if you were to ask me for true, I would probably put it in not so great, but I'll put it in the classics. I know a lot of people out there really enjoy it. The Polar Express, I will put this in the holiday classics as well. Yes, the animation is old. The animation is creepy. The 3D animation in this movie makes you want to shit a brick because some of the modeling is so terrifying. But it's a classic story about belief in something greater than yourself, believing in the reason for the season, and it's a magical moment where the kid learns to believe, and especially in the end, the final lines when even after my little sister had stopped hearing the bell, I still hear the bell because I truly believe. It's a great moment. It's a great lesson for the belief in the season. Never tell your children wrong about the meaning of the season. It's always an important reminder to remind everybody what the reason for the Christmas season is all about. Even though it's not really mentioned in this movie, it's an important reminder to remember that belief is greater than anything we could truly have as a human species, and we should not throw that away so lightly. Believe in the season, believe in yourself, and have a Merry Christmas. Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Yep, this movie belongs clearly here. Jim Carrey butchered this movie so horribly. His version of the Grinch is terrifying, creepy, and I just think he's a bad actor, to be honest, for the most part. He has had his good share of movies, but he absolutely butchered this movie. I don't understand why people enjoy it so much. I frankly hate it, and if you were to ask me of Christmas movies that I wish were burned and forgotten about and never watch again, this would definitely be up there, because even Dr. Seuss would be crying in his sleep if he had a chance to see this movie. A Christmas Story. Of course, we're going to put that right up here. Of course, classic story of Ralphie trying to get his Red Ryder BB gun. Fantastic. Although this movie is really awkward at times, such a classic story. Again, the soap, the saving the teacher, the tongue sticking to the pulse, the leg, the Christmas with the Asians is hilarious. It's just a great movie, and just not much more to say about it. I just love it. Just love it. Don't. And I haven't seen the sequel yet, but I heard that is pretty darn good too. Miracle on 34th Street, the original. We'll put this up here. Yeah. It's not one of my favorite. I think, to be honest, I prefer the 1994 version, but the original is still a classic. Classic story, believing in Santa Claus, putting Santa Claus on trial. Like, who would dare put Santa Claus on trial? And there's a lot of people out there that don't believe in the reason for the season that totally would, but it's still a great story, and the original probably is always better than the remake, but just because I've seen the remake more, I'll still say I like the remake more, but the original is still a good one for a lot of people out there. So if you haven't seen it, check it out for sure. Die Hard. We'll put it up here. Well, we'll put it in the classics. It's not the greatest movie of all time. It's one of the best action movies of all time, but in terms of Christmas movies, there's still a lot of debate. But it's still nearly flawless. Saving his family, saving his wife in Nakatomi Plaza, fighting off a bunch of terrorists. Bruce Willis really put him on the map. It's fantastic. I love it still. And even the sequel, Die Hard 2. I made a video about that a couple of days ago. It's still pretty darn good as well, especially in terms of Christmas movie. It's just as good. But Die Hard, not the best of all time, but it's certainly a classic that we watch every year. The Nightmare Before Christmas. I love this movie. It's one of my favorites of all time. I'm not going to put it above It's a Wonderful Life, and I know a lot of people think of it more as a Halloween movie, but to be honest, I think you could think of it as either Christmas or Halloween. I enjoy it. The classic animation style is so cool. Jack Skellington, of course, and Sally, all the classic characters. Zero. It's such a great movie. Of course, we know it's made so many merchandise about it. I've seen this merchandise everywhere, but it's a truly amazing movie. And Oogie Boogie is a great villain, even though he's really silly at times. Love Actually, horrible. I used to enjoy this movie, but watching this movie again, it's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get why people love it. I don't get why it's funny. It's really not. There's a lot of parts in it that just make you want to bang your head against the wall because it's like there's no Christmas cheer here whatsoever. There's affairs. There's lost loves. It's just a whole bunch of BS to be honest. All centered around this radio, this rock star. It just feels so just I don't even know how to describe it. I know a lot of people probably like it out there, but I just don't get it. Never have. It's not a great movie. And in terms of Christmas movie, it is a Christmas movie for sure, but I think it just fails in all categories. White Christmas. Haven't seen it, but I heard it's amazing. I'll have to watch it sometime soon. The Santa Claus, Scott Calvin, Tim Allen, of course, becoming Santa Claus, and I just love as he's transforming into Santa Claus. He's sees the hot chick walk by him and says, "Ooh, nice in your dreams." Ooh, the letters, and of course, Judge Reinhold finally at the end saying Santa and seeing that he is truly one to believe again. It's a great story, and even though it's kind of mean spirited at times, like why would you throw Santa Claus in jail? Like seriously, because his ex-wife is a total biatch, and frankly, just because he thinks he's Santa Claus, and there's little evidence to say that he is, yeah, it's just she's a terrible person in this movie, but it's still a great movie. I love it. One to watch every year. Christmas Vacation. Put in the holiday classics. It's not one of the best of all time, but I do enjoy it. I do watch it every year. It is hilarious still. Really awkward at times. Randy Quaid makes it so funny. Chevy Chase is fantastic. Just a funny movie. And every bad thing that happens to Louis Dreyfus is hilarious, and her husband are just funny. And it's just, again, a movie about belief in the time of the season. And I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. It's fantastic. Definitely one to watch if you haven't seen it yet. Scrooge sucks. I hate it. Bill Murray, contrary to popular belief, in my opinion, I don't think Bill Murray is that great. He's had good movies here and there, but I think this movie sucks. It's just trash. I just don't understand why people enjoy this movie. The Holiday. It's a good movie. It's actually surprisingly really long. Two women switch places and find their own new way to celebrate Christmas, both enriching the lives of the people they met. And it's a really cool movie. I think all the cast works pretty well. Cameron Diaz, Kate Winslet, Jude Law, Jack Black. I think the romances in this movie are believable. They start off really slow, but they get going, and you can really feel the romance in the air and really believe that these romances actually could happen. It's just a nice story. A little longer at times, but it's cool how both main characters find value in switching each other's lives, basically, or switching each other's settings, and really bringing out the best in both lives. I think it's a great movie. Home Alone 2. We're going to put this in the classics. It's not as good as the first one. Again, it's a bit repetitive of fighting off the wet bandits, I guess, although this time they're the sticky bandits. Still a fun story. The traps are even better. Soaking the rope in oil and then lighting it up. I swear, it's throwing the brick off the top of the building. Is it Harry? It's fucking fantastic. I love it. So many good moments. Just not as good. Again, how do you forget your child once, let alone 2 times? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. This is controversial. I enjoy this movie, but again, it's one of those specials that are just like so mean-spirited. I mean, God, Santa is an a-hole. Rudolph's father is an a-hole. The reindeer are total a-holes. It's just like, this is the kids' movie. It's like goes beyond just prejudice. It's like, oh my God, you're a freak. You have a red nose. Go to hell, basically. I mean, Santa is just terrible. So, he basically tells his father, like, you should be ashamed to give birth to a red-nosed reindeer. It's like, how do you control that? How do you we control that? It's just like so mean. And of course the elf is annoying at times, but I still enjoy Rudolph, even though despite all the meanness and all the rudeness, it's still a fun movie regardless. Gremlins, we'll put it up here. It's definitely one of the better Christmas movies out there. Not a little bit of a dark black comedy aspect, of course, with Gizmo and the Mogwai getting watered and multiplying, and then getting fed after midnight and turning into real gremlins. Like, when do we kill people? I mean, it's a good, funny story. I just watched it this year for the first time. Probably will watch it in the future holiday seasons for sure. It's a fun movie, and with a nice dark twist. It's always appreciated in my book. The Muppets Christmas Carol. I've never watched it, but I heard it's pretty darn good. Is this Bad Santa? I think that's Bad Santa. To be honest, I haven't seen it, but I heard it's pretty funny too. Family Stone. I have not seen it. Jingle All the Way. Not so great, but I enjoy Arnold trying to get closer with his son, trying to get him the Turbo Man action figure, and when they're doing anything and everything, especially Sinbad. Sinbad has some really funny moments. What the hell happened to Sinbad? What the hell happened to Sinbad after this movie? I still enjoy Sinbad in this. Arnold is just ridiculous. He just screams like a big giant robot, and he still acts like a Terminator, kind of, to be honest. But it's a nice story when his son sees that his dad's Turbo Man. It saves the day. It's a fun story. Just not as good as some of those other Hollywood classics at the time. A Charlie Brown Christmas. Definitely one of the better ones out there. One of the best of all time. It's just a classic story. The tree, especially when Charlie Brown kind of loses faith in the season. All his friends build up his tree, and it's really nice to see at the end. It's hard to really find this special unless you own it on DVD or are willing to pay Apple to watch it, which I just am not going to. And YouTube is one to crack down on such viewings on there, but it's still a classic story. One of the better ones of all time, and it's Charlie Brown Christmas. What could you say else besides that? The Christmas Chronicles is one of those new good holiday classics from Netflix. One of those few good Netflix movies out there that are just like, wow, really surprising. Kirk Russell delivering. There's a nice new modern twist on Santa jumping from house to house, like bam, 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 bam. The Christmas sing-along song in prison is actually really fantastic. Kurt Russell had some good pipes on him, and helping Teddy and the girl, Katie Cat, yeah, helping them believe in the season again, which is good. The sequel isn't as good, but if it was on there, I would definitely put the second sequel up in there as well. But it's actually really funny. This movie is really funny. It's a nice new modern twist on the Santa Claus tale, and there's not a lot of swearing. It's really kind of wholesome movie, and definitely one to watch if you haven't seen it. Definitely show it to your children. It's definitely safe for all ages. Christmas with the Cranks is horrible for sure. Again, another one of those movies where they just yell and scream at each other the whole movie. I'm not a fan. It's just awful to watch. It really is. Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Definitely one of the better ones up there for sure. Of course, Kris Kringle being saved from the people that want him dead. No toys to the children. No toys to the children. Of course, it sounds like a German town. And of course, why wouldn't the Germans hate Christmas? Because they're, throughout history, the Germans have been really terrible people. But Santa Claus, I love him aging and turning into the real Santa Claus that we know and love. It's a really nice story. The penguin the old Christmas wizard. It's funny. It's just a good movie. Good Rankin Bass tale for sure. It's the year without a Santa Claus. I love Heat Miser. I love Snow Miser. That song is so classic. I know some people probably think some of the animation is really creepy, and to be honest, it is. But trying to save Santa who's sick, and the nice song the little girl sings about how you not bringing it would make my season terrible. It's a really nice song. There's lots of really nice songs in this movie. And of course, Heat Miser and Snow Miser are just classic characters from Christmas season for sure. The Little Drummer Boy, I just don't know much about it. I mean, I think I've seen bits and parts of it, but never one of my favorites. It is a classic. It's just not. It's just not one of my favorites, to be honest. Frosty the Snowman. We'll put that right here. No, we'll put it up there. Frosty is definitely one of the best of all time. Frosty the Snowman had to hurry on his way, but he came to my saying, "Don't you cry, I'll be back again someday." Of course, the magician. It's hilarious. It's just it's Frosty the Snowman. How could you hate Frosty the Snowman? Of course, we're gonna put Dr. Seuss's the original animated classic, Thurl Ravenscroft, that great song. You have Boris Karloff as the narrator, fantastic. I love The Grinch. It's such a great time. It's nice and short, nice and sweet, and a good reminder of the importance of the season. That's more than presents. It's being together, family, and that little baby Bethlehem also as well. Miracle on 34th Street, the new one. Like I said, I would put the remake above the original just because I've seen it more. Doesn't mean the one is better than the other because I think they're both fantastic. And I mean, Richard Attenborough, how could you pick a better Santa Claus? He's hilarious. I love the court scenes. I love Dylan McDermott. What's her name? I can't remember her name. The little girl, I cannot remember her name for the life of me. But it's a great story. It's a great movie. Fun time. And it's actually really funny as well. Jack Frost. It's not so great. It's not quite a holiday classic, but hear me out on this one. Yes, the snowman is creepy. Really creepy. But you get to see some redemption in the end for Michael Keaton's character. He gets to see his son in spirit form. He gets to make up to his son. And even though his son we'll never get to see him again after this, it's a nice story. He gets to enjoy being with the son as a snowman, and then in spirit form for that short time at the end. And it's just a really nice story, despite it's really not the greatest movie in the world, but the ending I think redeems it a little bit. And it's a nice season about being with family. And I love it when his kid calls him, have you always been a selfish jerk? Just like, ooh, wow, it really hits home. It really hits him. And tries to make it back home, dies in the snowstorm, but then is revived as a snowman. It's really nice. It's a really nice ending that redeems the rest of the movie in my eyes, even though the movie overall, it's not that great. I have no idea what that is. Yeah, I have no idea what that is. I really don't. Jack Frost? Not so great. I don't really remember very much, to be honest. Little Women? Have not seen. Deck the Halls? Have not seen. Muppet Family Christmas is pretty darn good. Don't remember that much about it, but it is a nice story. Babes in Toyland is pretty bad. Silent Night, Deadly Night, haven't seen it. I haven't seen the new animated Grinch movie, but I heard it's not so great. Merry Christmas, Mr. Bean, have not seen that. Trapped in, I don't know what that is. I think I remember looking at that season. Edward Scissorhands. It's not so great. It's just really weird. I guess as a Christmas movie, it's okay, but it's just out there, man. It's just out there with the whole Scissorhands thing. Adam Sandler's A Crazy Night. It. Uh, we'll put that here. It's not so great. It has some funny moments, but it's just, again, Adam Sandler in this movie is just a fucking jerk. But I guess he does come around in the end, but it's just weird. Animation is still kind of good. Even at the time, it was pretty decent, but it's just, it's not one of my favorites for sure. And Prancer is a good story. Finding Prancer the Ranger. I don't remember much about this, but it is a classic movie. Why is Edward Scissorhands up here? That should be down here. But yeah, it's still a good movie. And there's been my list. Let me know if there anything that was missing. Let me know in the comments below how you would rank these movies. I think I did a pretty good job ranking them from top to bottom. But let me know what you think down below. Otherwise, have a great day. God bless and Merry Christmas.